We're in a liminal pocket in between two great arcs. What we do now will shape our next 9-year cycle to come. This video here is a continuation of a recent video I shared about an energy update of where we are right now energetically, given a variety of factors of where we stand right now at the time of recording these videos in early February of 2026. So I will link to that video if you are curious to get some context for what I'm about to be sharing in this video here, which is about preparing for your next 9-year cycle. So check it out in the description. And here I'm going to be diving a little bit deeper on these topics for how to prepare yourself for the impending 9-year cycle that we are about to begin. So where we are right now at the timing of this video, we're still pretty early into this year, and this isn't just the start of any new year. It's the beginning of your next 9-year arc. So what you do now, the types of decisions that you make, the stability that you anchor in for yourself is going to ripple outward far beyond just these coming months. So what I'm going to talk about now at first is what is currently in the process of ending. So to put things in perspective, last year was 2025. In numerological terms, those numbers add up to the number 9. The number 9 carries the energy of completion. So last year was essentially the last year in a 9-year cycle. And typically what years that carry the number 9 numerologically carry a lot of completion. Things like emotional, spiritual, and karmic patterns coming to completion. Things closing out. Things that are asking to be shed from your life. Patterns, thought processes, things that are just no longer in alignment for where you're headed next are typically coming up for review to be cleared, purged, and released. These could be relationships leaving your life to make space for the new, more aligned relationships to come. So this phase from last year and even to where we are right now has been not just about closing doors, but turning off the lights in rooms that you're no longer meant to live in. But we are not done with the ending, which is what I'm going to be sharing about quite robustly in this video here. Just because the year turned over into a new numerological figure, 2026 carries the numerology of the number 1, which is new beginnings. Just because we switched over to that numerological number 1 doesn't mean we're done with all of the clearing and shedding here in early February of 2026. I would encourage you to not skip the ending. You can't build a new temple if you're still sleeping in the old one. So right now you may be feeling that there are still threads that are releasing from your past. Even though you feel like you're in this new year waiting for new things to come in, there could even be things that have felt pretty new that have come into your life pretty recently, and yet they can still be part of this closing arc. Don't be surprised that something that came in as early as the second half of last year was meant to just be a brief little echo that came in and very abruptly departed. Those things can happen. So things like emotions, your possessions, your identities, relationships, all of those things are possible for dissolving in this time frame. So this is where it is totally normal for grief to be part of the process as things are starting to leave your life. That is totally okay. And what this time frame is asking is just for honesty. What is truly meant to be with you going forward? Is what is coming into your attention truly meant to walk with you going forward into this next cycle? So you may be asked to be making some symbolic closures in your life. So those are the types of things that are ending. Let's now focus on what is about to begin. As I mentioned, 2026 numerologically carries the number 1, which symbolizes new beginnings. It is also in the lunar cycle, the Chinese New Year zodiac, the Chinese zodiac. It is the year of the fire horse, whereas 2025 was the year of the wood snake. The snake energy was all about shedding your skin, shedding what no longer serves, whereas the fire horse energy is about freedom, liberation, forward movement, momentum, trailblazing, power, on fire. So this type of energy that is to come supports bold alignment, bold moves, not necessarily safe strategic planning, but going for your goals with all of your gusto. So what we're moving into now is not just a reset, it's a complete propulsion into a new timeline. So the year of the fire horse does not wait for your plans. So it would be prudent to do your preparations now, because the fire horse energy didn't start on January 1st. The Chinese zodiac changes over on February 17th. So at the time of recording this video, we have barely a week from now before that energy starts to manifest into the collective and into your life, most likely. So things like momentum, embodiment, and action are going to be calling you forward very shortly. And the way to be successful in this new phase is going to be aligning to truth. If you are in coherence with what is true for you, it will bring about rapid manifestations. That's what this energy coming forward is going to bring about. If you are in coherence, don't be surprised that things show up rapidly. So this time frame that we're in right now, leading up to this phase, is a good time to gain solidarity in your identity rather than trying to build off of things that were shaky in the past that you think might have supported you. You want to be really solid going forward into this new energy. So I also want to encourage you that no matter what you have been experiencing of late over this past cycle, however long your time horizon is, good things are coming. Newness is coming. It is literally written in the stars, in the energetics of what is to come very shortly. So there isn't just more karmic rinse cycles waiting you. Of course, we are all growing and expanding, so there will no doubt be obstacles, but the energy will be supportive for forward movement and newness to come into your life. If you have been waiting for new things, new people, new relationships, new endeavors, new opportunities, new locations, new mindsets, new emotions, new feelings, they're coming. And I stand as living proof that you can walk through collapse and still emerge victorious on the other side with clarity and confidence. So no matter what you've gone through, you can handle moving forward, and good things are coming. So be ready for what's to come. Now, next, I would like to talk about how to prepare for this upcoming transition, because right now we're still in a bit of a liminal phase. This new energy hasn't fully anchored in just yet, and I would like to support you in a variety of ways for how you can prepare to make this next 9-year cycle the best one you've ever had. So first, I would like to discuss a framework of various variables that are at play to help you orient where we are energetically, whenever you watch this video or you think about this in the future. What I'm about to share will help you orient so you know where you are energetically at all times. So as I mentioned, there are a variety of energetic factors at play wherever you are in time, linear time, following calendars and such. There are 3 different factors at play, and they are not all in alignment, which is why right now, if you're watching this in early February or any time shortly after, you might be feeling like you're in this in-between phase, and that is appropriate for the energetics of where we are right now. So first, I would like to explain one of the factors being what I have already alluded to, the numerological cycle. That is tied to the calendar year. So as I mentioned, in 2025 was the energy of a 9 of completion. The year 2026 carries the energy of a 1 of new beginnings. So think of this as the spiritual clock. Next, we also have the lunar and zodiacal cycle. This is what typically gives a year more of its texture, its personality, the flavor of what the kind of numerological energy would bring. So this year, as I mentioned, what is going to be the year of the fire horse. So it's a new beginning year numerologically, but it's going to be on fire. That type of flavor. But then we also have the seasonal cycle of the elements: spring, summer, fall, winter. These are essentially the natural earth tempo the natural rhythms that are always going to be at play. So, for example, on December 31st of 2025, all three of those factors right there were generally focused on completion and shedding. We were in the numerological number 9, completion. We were still in the year of the wood snake, which is also about shedding. We were also in the middle of winter, which is about hibernation and death and rebirth. So there was not a lot of newness coming at that time. Then one day later, January 1st, 2026, one of those variables changed over. So we were starting to get the invitation to think ahead because we switched from 9 in numerology to a 1 in numerology. So you're already starting to feel, perhaps on January 1st, a lot of people start thinking, let's think ahead. But there's no momentum because the lunar zodiacal cycle hasn't changed, which happens on February 17th. Also, you're still in the middle of winter. Everything is still frozen around you. So your soul and your mind might say go, but your body and the timing around you tell you to sit still and wait. So that can bring a lot of frustration. Then what's to come? February 17th, another variable will switch over for forward movement in the zodiacal energy, moving from a snake of shedding to a fire horse for forward momentum. So now we get that arrival of that fire energy, but again, we still have one more variable. We're still in winter energetically. The rhythm is still quite not yet fully supportive. So this is where it can get tricky. You might have some of that impulse to start acting, which can lead to burnout because it's not basically all systems go behind you. The wind isn't fully at your sails just yet. The earth is still frozen. So it's good for visioning, planning, testing things out. Then on March 20th, the date of the spring equinox in the northern hemisphere, that is when all three rivers flow in the same direction. That is a massive green light. This will be your launch portal. So I hope this is supportive for you in orienting yourself so you can, not just for this year, but going forward, you can always understand three major energetic factors that are always going to be at play between the numerological cycle, the lunar and zodiacal cycle, and just the natural rhythms of the seasons. So now that we have a good foundation for this, how can we prepare for where we are right now, knowing that here in early February, we're still not at that full green light just yet? What can we do to align ourselves for the best 9-year cycle? First, it's going to start with releasing protocols. As I mentioned, we still only have one of the variables in play that are bringing about forward momentum. The scales are still tipped towards shedding, releasing, completing. So now, especially through February 17th, but even through March 19th, just before the equinox, there's still going to be good energy supportive for releasing, clearing, completing. Some protocols I will share with you here that can help you release dead weight that is not meant to come with you on this next cycle. Nothing I share here is scripture. None of this is fully exhaustive. Listen to your intuition of what, if any of these might be supportive for you, or if anything of the sort could be supportive. You don't need to do all of these. If one of these sounds interesting to you, go with it. First, I will offer fire clearing, rather poetic. Fire carries the energy of cleansing, so perhaps offering something to the fire. You could write out a letter, something along the lines of, I no longer blank, I no longer do X, I no longer feel Y, I no longer engage in X behavior, so on and so forth. It could even be just a voice note to yourself. And metaphorically, you're burning that is in the past. You can write a letter to yourself. You can make it a letter of completion, last words to your past self, of your past 9-year cycle self. You can write that. You can type it up. You can print something out and ceremonially burn it in a fire. Also, don't be surprised if your dream activity is very potent during this window right now. They may be bringing you messages of things that it's time to wrap up. So perhaps journaling, things that are coming to you in your dream space, for composting. So pay attention to your dreams right now. You may be called to do even physical detoxing, perhaps some form of cleanse, adjusting your diet, something that might be supportive in terms of a detox. Sauna, if you have access to anything of the sort, anything that could be supporting a physical cleanse of your vessel could be very supportive. Decluttering is very supportive during this window, and this goes for physical and digital decluttering. So especially items that you feel carry symbolic weight of your past self. So you don't necessarily need to overhaul your entire home, your entire life, although if you have the bandwidth for it, that could be supportive. But perhaps thinking of a handful of very potent items that you know represent your former self and gently, perhaps even ceremonially, letting them go. So this also goes for digital decluttering. I highly recommend that. I myself can share that I've gone through a process of digital decluttering, removing people who I follow on social media who I don't resonate with, unsubscribing from email newsletters and such, and I could literally feel the energy leaving my body. That has an impact. Closing out things in the cloud that you no longer are ever going to look at. You have photos from 40 years ago that you know you're never going to look at. All of that stuff is tethered to your field. So perhaps taking some time to cleanse out your digital space as well, that will be supportive. Lastly, if I were to point out one thing out of this entire cleansing process that would be supportive, this is perhaps the best one and simultaneously the simplest, is to have gratitude for the old cycle. Do not skip the honoring. No matter what you experienced up until now in your entire life or just from this last cycle, something good came from it. Even if you realized you no longer have X person in your life and you're thankful for that. You no longer have X pattern in your life and you're thankful for that. You can be thankful for how much you've grown and expanded and learned and who you've become to this point. If nothing else, you can be grateful of how ready you are for newness to come in. So I invite you to take some time to express your gratitude in whatever way that feels right for you. Okay, these are a variety of options you can use to cleanse yourself, to be in preparation for this next cycle. The next thing, before we just start running ahead and blazing a trail, is we want to start focusing on stabilizing yourself for this next phase. Specifically, this will be best done through March 20th, up until the spring equinox, especially after you feel like you're good and cleared. It's okay if you're still kind of doing a little bit of both, because sometimes you might start stabilizing and realizing, oh wait, there's one other thing that I still need to clear. It's okay if you're kind of a little bit back and forth during this window up until the equinox, but it'd be especially potent once you feel like you've done most of your clearing practices, your home's nice and cleared and decluttered and all that. Now's the time to start focusing on stabilizing yourself. You want to get really solid in who you are and who you want to be going forward in this next cycle, so that this next cycle can magnetize itself to you without so much striving. So you want to get very clear. This is the time for establishing clarity on who you are, what you want to experience going forward. So now's the time. That would be a time for things like the inverse of what you may have done in potentially letting go type of letters. Now it's the time. Then would be the time to do things like journaling on things that you want to call in, or establishing who you are, writing out a journaling list of I am X, I am now confident, I am now aligned with my highest timeline, so on and so forth. This is who I am, this is how I'm going to live going forward, and training yourself into your nervous system, defining who you're going to be in your next arc. So perhaps even just choosing 1 to 3 values that you want to write down that you're really solid on. Like, this is who I am, this is how I'm going to show up going forward. So you can create a journal of what you know is going to be part of your next cycle. And here's also the time to start testing. We're not fully winds at our sails just yet, especially between that time frame between February 17th and the spring equinox. You're going to start feeling a push to start doing things. It's not necessarily time to go all in on things, but it's a great time to start testing things. For example, maybe after you've cleared, you made space and you have clarity on who you want to be. Now you're like, well, in order to do that, I probably need these new habits. That would be a great time to start testing a new habit. You don't need to do everything all in one go, but perhaps picking one new habit and start trying it out, or perhaps trying a new practice that you know would serve you for this next cycle. Maybe you've been meaning to meditate forever. That would be a great time period to just try it. Try it once, see how it goes. See if you could even handle doing it for a week. Maybe a new self-care practice, a new morning routine, or even a new wellness class. Experiment. That's the phase where you're like trying to see what's actually going to stick. So that's the stabilization phase. Then, once you're starting to feel stabilized, especially after February 17th, especially after you feel you're well and cleared, and especially once we get all systems go after the equinox, when all of that energy is supporting you for forward movement, that's when you're focused on your future, really focusing on magnetizing your future desires into your life. So really, once we hit that equinox, you really want to be focusing forward. You don't want to be looking back and realizing, oh, I forgot to clear that one thing. I forgot to donate this thing. There's still this person in my reality who I still have ties with. You want to be clean and clear by the time you get to the equinox. So when you're ready to start future magnetizing, here's where you're really like, you're solid, you're stable, you already know who you want to be. You want to start speaking these things aloud in your day-to-day life so that you can make them a reality. Here's is where you want to start anchoring some of those habits or activities, protocols that you were starting to test. Now it's time to commit to them. Anchor them in. Again, you don't need to do multiple. Start with one, commit to something. Like, this is my new habit that is in alignment with who I am and where I want to go. You could even do something symbolic. Maybe you were giving away old clothing that symbolized your old self. Now's the time. Maybe you want to get something that symbolizes your new self and start wearing it, whether it's a piece of jewelry, a necklace, a crystal, a plant, anything that symbolizes who you are, where you're going. Commit to that. That's the time where it's time to start embodying this new energy of who you are going forward. This would also be a good time, if you're keen on doing this, to craft a vision board, because now you're fully clean and clear from everything from the past. You're going to be thinking clearly forward. You're only going to be thinking about the future. That's the time when you want to really start putting things down of what you want to envision for yourself. And everything is going to be in alignment for you to start making that happen. And you're going to embed your vision board with your future self frequencies. Instead of, if you do it too soon, you're going to embed your vision board with the things that you're still trying to let go of. You're going to have that energy of clearing into your vision board if you do it too soon. You want to do it when you're solely focusing on the future. So I hope this is helpful in orienting you on how to best prepare yourself going forward through these various energetic windows that we have coming forward up until the equinox and beyond. So this is how you can prepare for your next 9-year cycle to be the best one you've ever had. And I would like to remind you that your next 9 years aren't just waiting for you. They're going to respond to you. And you don't have to be perfectly healed to begin this next cycle. You just have to be true. You just have to be yourself. You have to be fully you. So that's all this next cycle is asking of you. So if you've arrived here, if you're watching this video, you're right on time. You're right on track. You are not late. There's always time to align yourself to your highest timeline and your highest desires. So I have full faith and confidence in you that you will do just that. So the bridge is open to your new life. That is where we are right now. In this moment in time, we are on a bridge to your new life. So if you'd like to dive deeper with me, I do offer one-on-one support. So if you're truly hoping to make this next 9-year cycle the best one you've ever had, I would be honored to walk with you in that and to support you in however I can. You're welcome to check out my website and the links in the description. And I appreciate you for showing up here and watching. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time.